It is time for our bi-weekly chat with Norm Winski. Norm, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Okay, when we were last done, I was talking about what was happening at about mid-month there in March, and we can learn things by going back and seeing what's working, what's not working, so forth. Hopefully, these things are working more than they're not working. One of my things I almost always talk about is we usually have either a new moon or a full moon. You have one of those every 2 weeks. The lunar cycle about 29 and a half days. And so we're going to review that. We had a new moon in the sign of Pisces. You may know, or may not, know that Pisces is called the fish, and the fish swim in the big liquid. But for all new moons and full moons, we have our usual suspects, which are financials, grains, precious metals. And then because it was in the sign of Pisces, that's the big liquid oil. Also, anything with the word oil in it might be also something you might want to look at. I'll tell you in a few minutes why I mentioned that. Also, we had the same weekend, we had sort of a cycle convergence, and that we had Mercury aphelion. That's from the Greek. Helios in Greek is sun. If you have to see a word with an A in the front and then helio in the middle, that means it's afar. The planets go around the sun in elliptical fashion, and there's a point where they are farthest and nearest. And if it's F has an A in the front, near is peri, and far is A with an A in the front. So that was Mercury was at its farthest point in its 88-day cycle around the sun. And because Mercury has to do with the grains, and the sun has to do with anything golden or sunny, we have corn is golden, and we have gold is golden, and then you have your soybeans, and then the stocks respond to just about everything, and then of course wheat is a green. And so let's kick it off here and look at the charts. So here you had corn was kind of trending down into the 12th weekend, and we'll be looking to do. My dates are AC. That means after the close, and so that means we'd be looking to do something on the next trading day's opening. This was a weekend. So on the opening of Monday the 15th, you'd be looking to do something. If you're near since we were trending lower, we'd be looking, if you're not too far from the lows, we'd be looking to buy, and that would have worked out pretty nicely. And you had a nice big rally there in the corn, and we had two indications for that with both the moon and Mercury. Here's the gold. We don't do sideways. It's Newton's law. For every action, there's an opposite equal reaction, and if it's not acting, you're not going to can't expect much of a reaction. So we just the yellow bars mean we just took a pass. So here's your oil. Had a top over high of the month over on about the 5th, and then had a pullback, and then a retest rally into the weekend of the new moon in Pisces, and that made a nice little bump up there into the weekend and into the opening on the 5th, Monday the 15th, and that was the retest high, and then we went sharply lower, so that worked out nicely. Here's the silver going sideways. Soybeans pretty much going sideways. That's marginal. You could argue you could have sold that, but it would have taken 2 days for it to top out, so I'm calling that a pass. Now one that I don't haven't followed in a long time. I don't have it in my letter, but I used to follow it, and a friend of mine got excited talking about how the bean oil probably had the biggest move in the grain complex. Look at that big rally there, and before we got to the moon, they were talking about the bean oil could go to the moon. It could look like it was not going to stop, but guess what? The moon stopped bean oil. In case you don't know, that's soybean oil. That's your salad dressing. And so there we go. The moon stopped the bean oil rally right there over the weekend, the 12th. All right, here's your S&P. There's your moon and Mercury. It was about a day early, although technically it did go about two handles higher on the 17th. I'm going to stretch the envelope just a tad there. Two handles, I would say, I think you would agree, Jeff, is rather insignificant for swing trading the S&P. Here's your
Mhm.
T-bonds. Here's a classic, what a miss looks like. Going down, down, down. It looked like it could have been a good low there, but it didn't last hardly a day and not very much money. And so I'm going to call that a miss. Here's the wheat. The wheat was going down, 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 If you bought there on the 15th opening, you did get a little bit of a bounce. About 10 cents is worth $500. So you did have a chance to make some money. Here's a dollar going sideways, so we pass. Here's the British pound coming down. It was a day early. The next day it bottomed and then had a nice rally. And here's your euro going sideways, so we do nothing. The yen had been going sharply lower into our window there, the moon. The currencies dance to the moon often, and that stopped the rally and actually made a low there, and then it was sort of creeping higher, and then it sort of accelerated to the upside. So you had a chance to make some money there. Here's the Swiss franc pulling back into the moon, and then it had a rally, so you did okay. If you add up the green arrows and red arrows, we had 12 winners, one miss out of 13. That's 92.30%. And now I got a special report for you folks. Here on Wednesday, we had something very interesting happen. I have timed exact times during the day when the things are happening. Most of the time, not all the time. It's usually happening because the moon is speeding around and making lots of angular relationships to all the other bodies. We usually most of the things tend to be lunar in effect, and so at 9:46. Oh, that's a typo there. Oh, sorry about that. 9:46 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The moon was 90 degrees to Uranus, and yeah, okay. And you can see how the market ran up right to 9:46. That had a sharp drop of about 12 and a quarter handles. So that's a little bit more than $600 in about 7 minutes. Now, over the years, many people have asked me, what's the mechanism that could make this stuff work? And and you have to be able to account for. Here, I'll fix that AM right there. There we go. And we have to account for the fact that we are trying to get it to the minute. Now, I went and looked up how long does it take, for example, light to travel from Uranus to the Earth? That's 2 hours and 51 minutes. Uranus is billions of miles away. So you probably can't do Newtonian physics here. So we have to come up with something different. A few years ago, I happened to stumble on a program on our PBS Nova TV. They had a science series, and they said they were going to talk about Einstein, and I am an Einstein fan. And they started talking about how Einstein had been debating and wrestling with a theory from the quantum school called entanglement theory, and then he is one of the few things that Einstein had trouble getting his brain wrapped around, and he finally gave up on it and put it in a folder and threw it on a bookshelf, and never to be. That was in the 30s, and never to be looked at again until the 1980s when a physics professor got permission to go through Einstein's library and found this folder. And then he decided to run the experiment. And what it said was that you should run, the quantum guys were subatomic guys. They looked at subatomic particles. So they split particle into particle B, shot particle B far away, and then started spinning particle A. And simultaneously, particle B started spinning. That's the only mechanism I can think of that theory is the only thing I can think of how this might work, in that you can have something far, far away, and if it affects that, can affect the other body almost simultaneously. There you go. So if you like science stuff, you can look that up in Wikipedia, and also there's the show that I watched on TV. It's on YouTube. It's called Entanglement Theory: Einstein's Puzzlement. So there you go. So there you go. That's you had a chance to make some nice money there in a very short amount of time. So what's coming up now? By the way, all the charts that I showed you before were done Thursday night because we had we had targeted to do this on a Friday, and then we had a schedule conflict, so it got bumped to Saturday. So anyway, here's what's coming up this weekend. This weekend, the 26th, we have a full moon in Libra. I think that's going to be on Sunday, the 28th. And we're going to round up our usual suspects: financials, grains, precious metals, and then running a special because in Libra on sugar and wheat. And then we have Jupiter to the U.S. Neptune. That has to do with the U.S. natal chart when the country was founded on July the 4th, 1776. And because it's Neptune, that's your oil, plus your usual suspects for anything with the U.S. chart, U.S. stocks, T-bonds, and dollar. And then we don't, and it gets pretty quiet all the way to the weekend of April 1. April 2, we're closed for a holiday. And so have Jupiter lining up in Aquarius with Uranus and Taurus. So we'll be looking at cattle, copper, cotton, and stocks. And what we're looking for in these markets is you want to see the market get to some extreme, a nice big rally or big decline into the window there, and then you at a 75% chance it will reverse the next trading day. So that's what we're looking for, and that's pretty much it for now. And the stock market, let me give you a caveat on the stock market. We had a big run up on Friday's close, and normally I'd be all excited looking to go short on Monday, but my sentiment indicator, which I've never talked about, never had to talk about on here before, I'm an old CBOE market options guy. I started out there right out of college as a market maker in 1975. I devised a way to look at the option numbers and tell the sentiment. Too many bears, too many bulls, too many puts, too many calls, and it's kind of like the put call ratio, but better. There's a flaw in the put call ratio, and I fixed that many years ago. I've been doing this for 40 years. I get a rare signal, maybe once or twice a year, where it says it's a buy or a sell, and to my amazement and shock, actually got a buy signal with that big rally on Friday. Too many bears, so I'm concerned that we have a chance here that this thing could just accelerate to the upside and ignore the moon. So be very careful on Monday. I probably just stay on the sidelines. Otherwise, if it calms down and the sentiment goes back to neutral, then it might be okay on Tuesday. But if it doesn't turn by Tuesday, then it's probably going to go a lot higher into the end of the week. All right, here's how you can get a hold of me. I'm in sunny Naples, Florida at 239-594-3939. Here's my email, Winski@embarkmail.com, or you can call me for free anywhere in the world. If you have Skype at NWINSKI_1. Looking forward to helping some of your folks there, Jeff. Thanks a lot for having me on.
That is really exciting stuff. It even beats your usual 80%, and we'll see if your sentiment indicator works. That's really exciting stuff. Norm, thanks ever so much. We're always thrilled to have you here, and we'll see you back in a couple of weeks.
All right. Thanks a lot, Jeff.
Okay, bye.
Bye.